Finally, after a long time playing, researching, processing, and recovering, the Sour Spicy Dragon returns after a long hiatus. So, Chapter 3. Nearly 4 years have come and gone, and now I still struggle to fully grasp that this is real. To help both y'all and myself in having the reality sink in, I put this video together. An overview of sorts going over what happened in Chapter 3, my general thoughts on it, the occasional bits of catharsis, and some clips of the Let's Play I did with my co-editor and friend, Scotchbonnet.
Sure, just...
To confirm, this is what I said I could barely wait for in my friend video. As such, this will not be too in-depth. Don't worry though, I'm definitely going to be making a follow-up video on Chapter 4, and of course on individual topics from these chapters later, but do expect me to mention a little bit of everything here, which includes spoilers. Otherwise, this video would be hours long, and I don't want to do that. I'm the one making this after all. Nevertheless, I hope y'all enjoy this feature presentation. Starting out with a couch boardwalk, seeing Chris and Susie finally wake up after all this time honestly had me really giddy, despite how objectively unremarkable it is. That, and we can officially put the baseless gas pipe theory in the trash! Getting to Rawr say, wow, I was not expecting a more or less full explanation on how Dark Worlds work this early. Oh, and there's Friend. What in the name of Lewis Carroll is Friend doing here? This does already debunk my theory that the chaircloth was the Shadow Mantle. In a weird way, that kind of hurts a theory I had for a few years about something else, but as we'll see in the screenshots later, it gets confirmed anyway? No. Bad passage one. Bad. Despite this hiccup, we'll see that the Mantle and Friend are still closely tied to each other, which we're all well aware of by now, and much more. Just wanted to get that out of the way for now, as to now focus on more general stuff in the chapter, as well as, actual characters instead of the being. Getting to TV time was super fun. I did initially kind of suck at the cooking challenge, in part because I'm not as accustomed to the Switch controller as I once was, but no less entertaining. The quizzes were a good test of quick thinking and game knowledge, with some cheap trick questions. As someone who's not played a proper rhythm game since my old Rock Band mic could be considered marginally usable. Honest Live is very enjoyable and intuitive. Just don't watch me try and knock you down. Also, Death's lore jump scare through Raise Up Your Bat. And to think, this is still a ways away from the only major Deaths thing in Chapter 3. And then the big one being the 8-bit boards. So much love was put into this chapter as a whole, but hochi mama, this is excellent. Exploring the sand and island boards, Reb TV Tropolis. Solving puzzles, a surprising amount of secrets, and many a character interaction inside and out. However, just like Rock Video, something darker lurks not far beyond its cheery veil. Cecile is cool too, and the Spampton Cannon gave me quite the chuckle.
Nice. Oh
Max.
No! In paper mache! It's my worst hater!
Oh, it's Spampton!
Oh my god! He's charging a big shot!
And then there's the big boob tube himself running the joint, with the help of some imposters, Mr. Ant Tenna. His whole deal and characterization was what I expected, but the presentation is leagues more intricate than anything I could have anticipated. He's like if Toby put Metaton, Queen, and Spampton in a blender, and I bloody love him from the instant he says his first line. And only messed me up more as it continued with that thoroughly unprecedented, fully voiced FMV, which I completely missed in my first playthrough because of a glitch. From his sprite and speech quirk being art style breaking, to his eccentricities and desperation for admiration and not dying, I can safely say that, like Toby's friend, I miss Tenna after Chapter 4. Hope he's doing well with Metaton and that this won't be the last time we see of him. Also, the Hey Every motif originates from him. Fucking knew it. He and Spampton's mutual beef showing itself everywhere, as well as their history in general, always put the dumbest smile on my face as I was going through it, to say nothing of the secret Peepus cutscene. Though their sour relationship does show some genuine melancholy in a few places, particularly when it comes to Spampton's downfall, the implications of what transpired immediately after, and how we eventually meet him. Poor lads. Let's not forget about the other characters, however. Continuing with the newcomers, the weather duo and their whole arc was really entertaining. Hopeless romantics with a dramatic flair, my kind of characters. It did hurt a smidge that you have to drive them apart for a time, but the absolute hilarity of rules forcing them into a dysfunctional Polycule was just too funny. This fortunately means that the rule splitting I made for my hopes and headcanons video is more accurate than I feared it wouldn't be. Wait, huh? That's not the polyflag in the GIF? Then what is that? Just shows how much I know my flat-assed goofus of a husband. And when all hope is lost because of said goofus, the original Starwalker comes in to save the day. The true Polycule. My only notable critiques on La Niña and El Niña is that they don't have their own musical theme, and their personalities and dialogue are literally interchangeable in most cases, though that's by design. Now on to a character that absolutely got shafted. Professional Chris Suck-Up and wannabe secret boss, Ramb. From the instant I saw this English plug boy, I knew something about him was off. Speaking of truly knowing Chris, residing in a room with a conspicuous usage of the holy light motif and those double doors, alluding to a couple peculiar characters we've met in previous chapters, and offering some real freedom. So, obviously, my immediate thought was that Ramb, in some shape or form, would be the secret boss of Adventure No. 3, along with Friend. Although, while that line of thinking wasn't entirely incorrect, it still wasn't quite what ended up happening. Much like how he wasn't invited to be part of Tenna's employees, Ramb wasn't invited to be involved with the expected Gaster shenanigans. In fact, despite showing you to the way to a shadow item, he was never given such an object by Gaster or whomever, unlike the others. Turns out Ramb is more of a Sham than a Spamton, with the title of Secret Boss being kind of split between two characters, though I'd argue the Mantle Holder is the more fitting of the two. The Mantle game is a nightmare in and of itself that I should make a whole video about, as I've got a theory or two about the Mysterious Holder, or ERAM as many call it, and of course more of Friend. But to close my thoughts on Ramb, I like what we got of him, but it wasn't enough, honestly. Whether you do the sword route or not, he succumbs to petrification and we never see him again. The Rappic in the S-Rank room did witness something happen to Ramb as we were playing the Mantle game, so maybe there's something to that? Maybe we'll see him again? I hope this won't be the last time we interact with him. He deserves better. I shed a tear for him. Also, fuck this Pippins in particular, worst D6 I've ever laid eyes on. And for the returning characters, we of course have Ralsei and his increased subservience, and Susie to balance it all out with her well-meaning chaos. We see more of this in Chapter 4, but Ralsei's insistence on Darkners being beneath Lightners does not jive well with Susie's belief that everyone's lives and relationships being valid, even if Darkners technically aren't real. She will, however, struggle to come to terms with the grander scheme of things later on. You also get Toriel in the Dark World, where she's asleep the whole time. Before the release, I was arguing against such a thing happening, as it would be very lame, and yeah, it kind of is. But that's before we knew two crucial details. Number 1, Chapter 5 is now heavily implied to have its Dark World be in Flower King, which, among a bunch of other things, gives a great opportunity for an active Toriel. As I've expressed in the past, she could really use the character development. And number 2, Toriel is necessary for something involving the shelter, a sacrifice presumably, though we don't know why yet. With these two details, Chapter 5 is only looking more and more enticing. Oh yeah, and Undyne actually shows up as expected, complete with plate armor and her magic spears from Undertale, covering that Darkhold magic and Undertale magic are the same, and the designs being at least very similar. But there is a reason why Undyne and Toriel were here specifically. The night. The Roaring Night. Whew! I speak for everyone when I say that no one was expecting the night to show up so early, much less be the final boss of Chapter 3. So, for such a momentous occasion, let's take a good gander at them. The knight's completely black and white, appears to be in league with Chris, drops a shadow crystal and black shard upon defeat, deer antlers, holes in its hands, a bat-like sword, and smaller swords that look like Gaster Blasters. And to top that all off, the knight retreats with Undyne back to the shelter. So, it would appear that Des is the knight and is associated with Gaster. Those theories seem to have come true. I know about Carol, of course, but even with her in the picture and likely having part in this, I still find that Des makes more sense as the knight, both for the reasons listed and others I've not gotten to yet. With all that, regardless of why she's doing any of this, or how she looks and talks like this, I hope to find her, the real her, and bring her out of this nightmare, back where she belongs, eating breakfast and watching late-night TV with her sister and friends. In case anyone was wondering, it did take me a while to beat the night, like 40 minutes.
We fucking did it.
Most brutal ungulate I've ever scrapped with. I think to finish with what's in the chapter, I'll cover the man. First of all, this is the most hidden and convoluted man counter in the entire game so far. No contest. Bud and I were stuck for like 2 hours trying to figure this shit out. Especially ironic given this is where you're given instructions to find the other man rooms from the only one that would actually all but require a guide. Toby. Why? What's almost equally as incomparable is the presentation. Just everything. It's bizarre and quite literally outlandish. Let me tell y'all, Ralsei's explanation on how Dark Worlds work does not account for almost any of this. Anyway, the man talks in the same manner as the Unknown Valentine letter, so that theory was also confirmed. They are the same person. But on the other end, thanks to chapters 3 and 4, it seems that my Grandpa Semi crack theory is pretty much debunked. Or maybe not? It's strange, but some added details do sort of validate Semi being in Deltarune, even if other details make it a bit awkward. There might still be hope. If nothing else, the gunner part of my larger theory is holding up swimmingly on the contrary, so I'll gladly take that. Like the sword route, I'll make another video detailing the man and where it might be going, including the chapter 4 stuff. If I may conclude with glazing, I adore chapter 3. My lingering fears about this chunk of the game were completely done away with. I'd even call this on par with chapter 2, and this is even before getting to chapter 4. However, it won't stay that way for long, as an overview of that chapter will come out in the near future. For keeping up to date on that and more, please consider subscribing, and if you wish to directly support me, my Patreon can also be found in the description. Signing up in any tier will put you on the screen like so. I hope to see y'all again soon. With the zappers being TV remotes, why do the Dreamers have so many of them?